This programme is brought to you by vinny.co.uk.
Welcome back to the Champions League pool here on Free Sports. We are one game down into our sixth tonight and 1 point for both Sean Story and Chris Day. Nearly there for Chris Day in the end there, Simon, but ultimately both have to settle for a point, and we take a look at our next match. It's already upon us. Tom Price and Eddie Barker. We talked at the top of the show about how difficult it is to separate any of the players here tonight. This is another such match, therefore. Both want to get off to a good start. So important. I've seen it with it every week. Tom Price with the first break. Hits it pretty beautifully, actually. And he's got a good opening chance here.
What a start. What an excellent opening break. He'll be pleased with that. Gives himself that first chance. And a couple of balls to work out, though. It's not the greatest opportunity.
Well, that could be a great opening shot. But he's unlucky. He is unlucky.
Yeah, he gets the ball out but doesn't land on it. That is very unfortunate. Very talented player is Tom Price. Chatting to him earlier, though, he's not played a huge amount over the last couple of years. So it'll be interesting for me to see how he settles down tonight. Is he going to be match sharp? Although I suppose with the way 2020 and 2021's going so far, nobody's really going to be match sharp because there's not that many matches happening.
Eddie Barker at the table then. Similarly to our first match, the second player getting an early go off the back of the break. Just having a little chat with Eddie earlier. He's in great spirits. Really loving being here. I think for lots of the players, just nice to be part of an event again. It's been a while.
Yeah, a lot of players, well, I think everyone is starved of events at the moment. There's normally, or a lot of these players will be used to playing events week in, week out. There's normally an event somewhere they can play in, as well as obviously the big ones that are well talked about. Complete change, but then it's been like that for everybody. Decided to play that to the corner because he needed to. It was an easier pot into the centre, but he couldn't move the cue ball very far because he wouldn't have been able to hit it with enough pace. But didn't get the positional side of the shot right, as well as the missed pot. So chance has gone.
Again, straight after his problem ball, Tom Price. Something that listeners of a certain vintage who've been listening to us waffle about pool for however many months, years it is now, will know is a real lesson that you cherish. I mean, go after your difficult ball as soon as humanly possible. And, I mean, Tom Price couldn't have played that quicker. Both occasions comes to the table, straight after that difficult ball, attacks it.
Yeah, definitely the right thing to do for me. Give yourself as much opportunity as you can to be on another ball if you're playing a cannon or trying to open something up. Not always possible, but wherever you can, try it. And on this occasion, it's worked out perfectly for Tom.
Certainly has.
Plenty of movement on the cue ball for position onto the 8 ball, and he's got that one all wrong. Thought he might just drop that in and go for a slightly easier 8 ball. Well, he's gone for the skill shot anyway, and in it flies. So Tom Price, not exactly the conventional way, and holds his hand up to apologise, but he'll be more than happy that he gets that first frame on the ball. Well, whilst the referee is racking the balls up, Stephen Jameson has popped out to get a few words with Chris Day.
I certainly have. Chris, an entertaining first match between yourself and Sean. How did you find it, first of all?
Yeah, it was interesting to get on the table. It's a lot quicker than the tables we've been practicing on. So, yeah, interesting to get out there and get the first one out of the way, really, and happy to get off the mark.
Yeah, it seemed like, we said it at the end of the match, it seemed like a draw was a fair result, actually. We were pretty satisfied just to get the points in the end.
Yeah.
At that moment in the final frame where we thought it might have gone the other way, though.
Yeah, it was one of those games where I sort of felt like I was chasing each time I come to the table. I was a little bit behind in all the frames, really. It's the way the balls went. But I looked at the clock, I kept my eye on it this time, which I learnt from the last one. And I tried to manage an attempt at a clearance in the last frame, whereby, should I miss the crucial ball, which I did, he wouldn't have had enough time to clear up. So I was guaranteeing myself a point in my head.
So it was something me and Simon thought initially, that you might have not been focusing on the clock. Obviously, we can't read pool players' minds as much as we'd like to. That was fully intended to run it as you were playing. You fancied yourself from there.
Yeah, I just fancied taking my time, leaving myself enough time to pot the balls I had left, but hopefully not doing the same for Sean. And that's if my balls got less and I needed less time. Obviously, he needed enough time to pot his balls. And if he'd have stunned them, if he'd have got that last one, he'd been close, I'd imagine. He's got previous, hasn't he, unfortunately?
He certainly has. Well, Chris, great start for you. Well played, and a point on the board. We'll see you soon.
Thanks very much.
Well, interesting to get Chris's thoughts on that match. We did a bit of a disservice where we thought he'd kind of lost track of the match clock. But he had a plan, and all that was wrong was that he missed the pot when the chance was there for him. Meanwhile, back to this second match, and what a break from Eddie Barker, giving himself a great chance, although he's just overrun the position. He really wanted to be on the red to the left-hand side of those two, and I don't think he is. So even if he makes the tricky pot on the red to the right centre, position onto the other red's going to be tough. As I welcome back Stephen Jameson into the commentary box.
Yeah, thank you, Simon. It's always good when you can be directly contradicted almost immediately upon review. But you know, it's an interesting one, isn't it? Because we almost assume that could be a great shot. Meanwhile, not quite, very close to being. We almost make the assumption that Chris there was running out of time, because mainly for me, because his demeanour was so calm around the table. You should automatically think he's just not had a peek at the clock there. But upon reflection here, it was all part of the master plan. It very nearly paid off for him, but actually what it was more was an insurance policy, which actually was really intelligent.
Definitely, we've seen that a few times. We certainly saw it in the Super Series final with Gareth Hibbert. That's exactly what he was trying to do, make sure that he's got enough time to clear up, but not leave your opponent to counter clear if you miss a tough shot. I'm slightly disappointed, as that's a kind of well-played shot from Tom. Don't think he was ever really expecting or wanting to make the ball. But I would love to have seen that previous clearance from Chris Day. I'd love to have seen him get as far as the 8-ball, because he would have been very, very tight on time with the speed that he was going.
Eddie's going to have a lot of fun potting this 8-ball. He is going to have a lot of fun. This is difficult. Really clever shot, actually, I thought, from Tom. Forced Eddie's hand. He had to go for it. Is he going to have a shot?
Well, we saw Eddie Barker come up with a big skill shot to win the opening frame. This time it's even harder. The yellow's a long way away from the pocket. It's towards the jaw as well. That's very tough if he takes it on. I don't even think he'll take it on. It's try and get it moving somewhere else somehow. Oh, he's just going to try and take the pocket, but I think you're going to really ask for trouble here, because what's going to happen now is Tom's just going to play safe. Tom can't clear up with that 8-ball there, and he's going to be putting a lot of pressure on Eddie Barker to get to this 8-ball. He has to make a genuine attempt to try and get to this.
But, and we've said this numerous times in this sort of situation, this is a really tough shot. But if he hits the 8 here, he's almost guaranteed to pot it. Can he find the angle? Can he find the angle? No.
Foul.
And that's come out beautifully for Tom Price, because I think that yellow now passes the 8 into the corner.
It's some effort, isn't it? So close. Well, that's an interesting choice from Tom as well, because Tom's trying to go game here. He wanted to nudge that yellow on, and all he's managed to do is leave it really awkward. Hasn't developed the yellow, hasn't left himself the next pot, and he's cleared open the black now, and it's going to really give Eddie an opportunity, even if it's off a cushion or two.
Yeah, extension called as well he might. This is a really important shot. This next shot may well decide the frame. And Tom is kicking himself out there. It's a really lax shot. He needs this cue ball to come really close. He's going straight for the pot. Not even a consideration to play safe. Eddie Barker with a gimme. One each.
Very interesting frame that. I think Eddie, I'm surprised Eddie played the shot that he did. Ultimately, it's won in the frame, but you feel that Tom had his opportunity to try and either put Eddie in more trouble or take out the finish, and he wasn't able to do so.
Well, he's from Cheltenham, Tom Price, but he seems to be a bit of a gambling man with the way that he plays. That was attacking, it was aggressive, it's what we love to see. Was it the right call?
Possibly, possibly not. I mean, if the first shot goes right, he nudges that ball along the bottom cushion, he's on it, and then he makes the clearance from there. So it's hard to say he made a poor decision. Once he's made that, once the first shot hasn't gone his way, I think going for the double probably was the right decision, because I think we saw with the previous shot, there was nowhere on the table that he was going to leave it, that Eddie was not going to get to that 8 ball, even if it was off a cushion or two.
Well, an immediate chance to respond then for Tom Price, that much we can say for the former World Championship semi-finalist. Doesn't catch those nicely. I think he's all right. Just.
Well, the referee is going to check to see if this is fulfills the 4-point rule. We've already seen this once tonight, and I think this time it does.
Yeah, 3 reds above the centre line, and the yellow potted at the bottom of the table is enough. The reds that goes in the bottom left is one of the ones that bounces above the centre line. But I make it 3 above and 1 from the pack below potted. I think it's just a legal break.
Here we go. This is what the referee will make his decision on.
Either way, I think what Chris would say is it's not a very good break.
No, he didn't catch them very well. When you consider how good his first break was, he caught them really well, really big split. This time he just didn't catch them as well.
Painted by numbers, 1, 2, 3. And 1 at the bottom of the table.
Yeah, it's the red gets kicked in. I thought it was a yellow originally, but it's a red that gets kicked into the bottom cushion. It's not one of the balls that goes into the top half of the table, and it is
that's legal.
Absolutely fine. That will be a legal break.
The ball that went in the hole was a cannon dim red.
Referee's just explaining it to the players. I think he'll reach the same conclusion that we have. Embarrassing if he didn't, but I think we're right.
Time running.
We're happy. Legal break and Tom Price at the table.
And look at the table that's been left. It really is. You can see why they've checked it, because hardly any balls have moved at all. That really is a horrible table. I know that takes a little bit of time. The clock must be worth pointing out. The clock does stop, but I think it's important that we get the right decision in those situations.
Tom misses his opening pot, and I don't think he minds handing the table over.
Yeah, over to you, Eddie. What can you do?
This requires some serious work now. Should point out as well, no colours nominated at this point until Eddie Barker potted that yellow. So yellow's now in play for Eddie. It's not that a clearance isn't on, it's just that there's so much work to do. He has played the pot there. He would have landed on the yellow down the rail if he'd have made it. Tom still hasn't got a huge amount to go at, which is a symptom of that break. I'll tell you what, I must admit, I didn't think that red went to the corner, and now, actually, things are starting to look up for Tom here. Red's at the top of the table, obviously fairly straightforward. Big question is that red nearest the 8 ball. Does that pass the yellow into the right corner? I don't think it does. It's difficult to land onto the bottom left. Maybe the left centre?
Yeah, it's difficult, but there's enough room for it to go to a couple of different options. There's a chance that I didn't expect. I like you, I didn't think that first ball was going to go. Oh, and if this one nearest the 8 ball goes past the other one, and I think it does. The reason he's stopping and taking his time here is if he's dead straight, he drops it in because it's easy to play position. Now he has to play around with the yellows. Oh, he's done well there. This has been a very good little clearance, or good opportunity. He's got to clear it yet. But an opportunity that I think Eddie should not have given him.
Yeah, I totally agree. Thought Eddie was handing over a difficult table. Actually, Tom Price has made it look fairly routine. What a good clearance that is. He goes 2-1 in front. Great effort from Tom Price. Takes the lead in our second match of the night here in the Vinny.co.uk Champions League Group 5. Eddie Barker now with some work to do. The man who calls himself Batman, Hemel Hempstead, big Spurs fan naturally. He himself is a World Championship semi-finalist, 3-time UK Tour Club Open champion as well as an International Masters runner-up. This is stacked fields. We've said it all the way through. We've now been able to show you the achievements that back that up. It almost becomes, Simon, a question of pure form, doesn't it? At that point, when you've got such an even field in terms of what they've got record-wise, what they are on paper, should we say. It just comes down to who's probably got the most practice in, who's feeling good, who hits a bit of form,
who wins the big moments, who can take their opportunities. We saw that in the opening match.
Some break by Eddie, that, by the way. Considering how poorly he hit the last one, he's made amends there. Look at this. Hits this beautifully. Straight back down the middle of the table. Always a mark of a good hit.
Cued through that so beautifully. Not a great chance though.
Yellow ball's in play.
Yeah, he's been a little unlucky, hasn't he?
Yellows blocking reds, reds blocking yellows. Just when you want to, you feel like when you hit a break as well as he has, you feel like you deserve a better opportunity than he's got here. That's for sure.
It's getting there. He's got a yellow on the right rail, which is causing him a bit of grief. And this next shot's not going to be easy. He's probably going to split it up to the top of the table.
I don't think he wanted to pot that. I think that was a safety shot, and he's potted it because he was up on it quickly, walking back to his chair.
He looks incredibly lackadaisical back to his chair there. Whether that was just because he thought it missed, or if he was playing the safety, I think it's the latter. Can he get across the table and make something happen here? No, that one definitely is a safety. Which adds credence to the idea that his previous shot was.
It is a safety shot, and we know it's blocking a pocket, but we've already seen enough from Tom in this match that you fancy him to go very close to taking this clearance out.
Well, I've also seen enough from him to know that he will go for it.
Yeah, oh, for sure.
Absolutely no questions. Really aggressive player. He's got his eye in all right. He said to you earlier that he's not been playing much, especially over the last few years, never mind in post-lockdown life. Never leaves you to a point.
Just overrun position a fraction. Now the cue ball's going away from his work. If he was straight on this, it would be fairly routine. He's gone up the table. Could play a double if he wanted to. He can take the one to the bottom right-hand corner and play rail shot, rail shot. So whichever way he sees it. If he makes the double, then the clearance after should be okay. He has made the double. It's just pulled up in time. He is on that pot to the bottom right-hand corner. Well, that's a surprise. That's a big surprise. All the hard work was done. All he had to do was make that pot.
And adding insult to injury. Cue ball's an off. This cue ball stays up. He's got a little bit of a chance, because where the red ends up makes that last yellow a bit more difficult, but
just has to guard against the yellow he's going to play going behind the red. Just needs to stay in the open, and it has. Well played. A chance, I'm sure, at one point Eddie Barker did not think he was going to get. I think he was staring 3-1 down in the face.
good game this. Close game. 2-all. Just over 4 minutes remaining in this second match. We're heading the distance again. This will be a really close night, I think, in so many different ways. Usually we see players win out, you know, it's a race to 4, don't forget. If you're only watching this for the first time, it's not necessarily, it doesn't have to be a 20-minute match. We've seen 4-0, 4-1, 4-2, but every game seems to be going to the wire so far, and if that's going to be the way that this night's going to go, do not rule out a potential 6-red shootout. I've not talked about this so far, Simon. Probably a good time to mention it way ahead of time. We've obviously got a league table. If points are tied at the end of the night between 2 players, 3 players, maybe even all 4 players, not sure if that's mathematically possible, but ignore that. If we're tied at the end of the night on points, we go to a 6-red shootout, and this is where we become a bit generation gamey.
Yeah, it's something that's very new for the pool world. Not seen it before anywhere else. It's definitely unique, and I'm hoping that we will see it at some point in this competition, because it's going to be a lot of fun. I don't think it's going to be a lot of fun for the players, but it's certainly going to be a lot of fun for everyone watching and for us in the commentary box. But it is going to be the quickest player to pot the 6 reds that goes through.
Yeah, it's tough as well. It really is. It's going to be a great break from Tom. Like Eddie in his last one, he's really made amends. This is a beautifully hit break, about as good as you can hit it, and he's away and running in this one. But myself and Simon actually had the joy of testing it out earlier. The software needs testing, so me and Simon were the requisite guinea pigs. Don't need to tell you that the former professional player in England's national did win, but it was closer than he would have liked.
Well, 7/100ths of a second closer.
Well, that was how close it was, which is it's a great example, really, of how close it can be. 7/100ths of a second.
Yeah, we won't tell you the overall time because it's quite slow, but we'll talk about the 7/100ths.
Yeah, it was both of our first swings of a cue in anger in a while, so.
Well, Tom is flying through this visit. He wants to make sure of it this time, having given away the last from a similar position, and he's going to need a good pot down the rail to do so.
Still plenty of life left in this match as well. 3-2 and 3 minutes remaining. Still a long way to go. Still potentially 2, maybe even 3 frames if they're lightning quick. But Tom Price is not hanging about. 2 minutes and 57 seconds remaining. We are into the witching hour, really, of this one. 3-2, Tom Price. Both players have used extensions, so we will be, as advertised, really, on the clock. It's a big break this for Eddie.
Massive break. He needs to respond. That's the first break and dish in the match, and I have to say Tom is playing with a lot of pace and a lot of freedom and a lot of confidence, especially when you consider he's a man that's not really played a lot of pool in the last couple of years. He looks a very talented and confident player.
Yeah, he seems to be just playing a bit downhill at the moment, if you know what I mean. He's a bit runaway freight train when he gets at that sort of speed. That was rapid.
Yeah, a couple of times maybe he could have done with a little bit more care and attention. He nearly gave away the first frame, but came up with a big skill shot to save himself, and obviously he did give away that 4th frame. Oh, that's unlucky. Cue ball goes into the top left-hand corner, and this is where Tom needs some match clock management as we look at this break again.
That's so tough. That is so tough for Eddie. And the slow motion there just shows it in all its agony, really. He struck that break beautifully. to be kicked across the table was tough. To then be kicked
Red
into
ball
the
to play.
corner pocket is really, really harsh. And Tom here doesn't need to rush. We told you it's a race to 4. He's now actually got loads of time here. Just needs to make sure. If he does so, he wins the game.
It's not a guaranteed finish though. The 8 ball is awkward. The 2 reds below the 8 ball are sort of awkward. The one at the bottom, it does pass the other one. That opens things up a little bit. And this is if you take the match clock out of it, I would expect Tom to make this clearance. But I think the one thing he has to do in this situation is clock manage. He needs to use as much of his 20 seconds on every single shot as he can.
Here's a little bit of what we talked about with Chris in the interview at the start of this match. If he can't win off this frame, ensure that Eddie can't tie it. And I think that's exactly what he's just done. You saw a nod to the clock there. The beats were ticking as he played that shot. Definitely on his mind. If he is to win it outright, this next shot could well be the key. He might not actually have to do too much with the white here. He does just knock a yellow out.
Hasn't knocked the 8 ball on though. He's knocked the yellow out and he is on the next red, but it hasn't opened up the 8 ball. I don't think there's enough of it showing to be able to pot it to either of the bottom pockets.
If though he can pot this red and the next one, maybe even leave a double on the 8, it wouldn't leave enough time, I don't think, for Eddie to be able to have a stab at these. If he just clock manages, should be just about home. But he's not comfortable with that. You can tell he's not comfortable.
Yeah, he's fighting his natural instinct here, isn't he? He really is. Yeah, definitely, because he's not even given it any thought about playing on the black. He could have tried to get into the 8 ball there if he really wanted to. He just wants to use that clock up and, okay, the double may be on. But he's not even worried about it. It's over to you with 16 seconds to go.
And Eddie in fact concedes. That's a really well played out final frame from Tom Price. You could see he was fighting against every single one of his internal instincts. It was a fantastically aggressive performance from Tom Price, and he really went for it and played some wonderful pulls, particularly towards the end of that match as both players got up and running. And ultimately what might have cost Eddie Barker was going in off that final break. It's still all to play for tonight, of course, and we'll see both players again very, very soon. We'll see you after the break.
This programme is brought to you by Vinny.co.uk.